The courtroom is colder than it should feel. Perhaps it's the marble floors. Maybe it's the buzzing fluorescent lights overhead. But honestly, it's the tension. The kind of tension that presses on your lungs, making every breath heavier than the last. Reporters whisper in the back rows. Cameras sit quietly like predators, waiting to capture the moment a life unravels. At the center of it all, Mary walks in slowly, her shoulders taut, her fingers clasped tightly around a manila folder that seems far too light to cause this level of chaos. Yet everyone in this room knows it will. Kody and Robin sit across the aisle. He leans back like nothing can shake him, that old familiar confidence glued to his face. Robin, though, she keeps fidgeting, brushing invisible dust off her skirt, glancing toward the exits like she's working out escape routes. Christine and Janelle sit right behind Mary, close enough to support her, but far enough not to draw attention. They exchange looks, not angry, not victorious, just tired. Tired of the lies, the cover-ups, the years of pretending everything was fine. The judge walks in, and it feels as though the air stands still. He doesn't smile. He isn't here to play into the TV-like drama the world attaches to this family. He's here to settle a dispute that, according to the legal paperwork, involves fraud, misrepresentation, and sealed evidence. Mary won't glance at Kody for even a second, as if she's afraid that meeting his eyes would weaken her conviction. She has put her head down and stays focused on the judge. "Mrs. Brown," he says, "you've submitted evidence marked as extremely sensitive. Before we proceed, I'd like you to explain the nature of this evidence and why you've brought it before this court." The room falls silent, the kind of silence that presses on your ears. Mary takes a deep breath that seems to shake her entire frame. She doesn't speak yet. She's replaying everything in her mind. We can see it in her expression. The late-night arguments, the hidden documents, the way Kody shut down every question she ever dared to ask. The way Robin cried too quickly, too loudly, every time someone pushed too close to the truth. Finally, she steps forward and grasps the railing tightly. "Your Honor," she starts, her voice just above a whisper. "I didn't want to bring this here. I didn't want any of this to go this far. But I was left with no choice." Robin's breath catches. Kody shifts in his seat, his jaw tightening. Mary continues, steadier now. "For years, I was told not to ask questions, to trust, to keep the peace. I tried. God, I tried. But every time I pushed for answers, I was made out to be the problem." Her voice cracks, but she keeps going. "Until one day, something didn't add up, and I decided to start looking for myself." Christine glances down at her hands, her fingers twisting together. She remembers that day. Mary called her, sobbing so hard she could barely form words. Christine had never heard her sound that broken. Not even during the divorce. Not even when the family fell apart. The judge leans forward. "And what exactly did you find, Mrs. Brown?" Mary looks down at the folder in her hands. Her knuckles go white around it. "It started with a financial discrepancy," she says. "Small. Something the accountant said was probably a filing error. But when I looked deeper, I found a pattern. Payments made under different names. Documents signed on nights we all knew Kody wasn't home. Properties listed, removed, relisted, but only under certain family members." Her voice tightens. "Family members who were always protected." Everyone knows she means Robin. The prosecutor stands, speaking softly. "Mrs. Brown, did these discoveries lead you to the DNA report which you submitted to the court?" Mary nods once, sharply. "Yes." Robin covers her mouth as the sob threatens to break free. Kody reaches to touch her arm, but she pulls away. The prosecutor presses on. Can you walk us through the moment you decided that DNA evidence was necessary? For a moment, Mary doesn't speak. She looks down, gathering herself. When finally she lifts her eyes, they shine with something fierce. Not anger, not revenge, something stronger. It was the night I found a drawer full of documents. Hidden beneath piles of old tax papers, she says. They weren't mine. They weren't supposed to be in my house. But there they were. And when I started reading, I realized the signatures, the dates, the statements, they didn't make sense. Her voice grows more steady with every sentence. They didn't belong, and someone had gone to great lengths to keep them hidden. Christine's lips part slightly. That was the night Mary called her over, telling her to come alone. No cameras. No family. Just two women sitting on a bedroom floor, surrounded by papers that made their stomachs twist. What made you think DNA was involved? Asks the prosecutor. Mary exhales slowly. There were contradictions in the documents about legal guardianship, about timelines, about relationships that didn't align with what we were told. She hesitates, swallowing hard. One document, in particular, contradicted everything we believed. A ripple runs through the room. Kody straightens, a flash of panic crossing his face. Robin closes her eyes, and tears slip down her cheeks. The judge speaks again, voice firm. Mrs. Brown, the court needs clarity. What was in this document that led to your decision? She steps closer toward the middle of the room, her voice slightly raised. It wasn't just the document. It was the reaction of Kody when I confronted him. I asked one question, just one, and he exploded. Told me I was ungrateful. Told me to stop digging. She pauses, but the more he pushed me away, the more I knew he was hiding something. Tears well up in Christine's eyes. Janelle closes her eyes, shaking her head slowly. The judge motions toward the folder. And the DNA report. Is this the evidence you referenced in your filing? Yes, Your Honor. Then please explain its relevance. Mary's hands tremble as she opens the folder. It's as if the pages glow under the harsh lights of the courtroom. The room seems to lean in. The reporters have even stopped typing. She lifts the first page. This report, she says quietly, confirms something that was kept from all of us. Someone, wasn't who we thought they were. Gasps echo through the courtroom. Robin breaks down fully now, her shoulders shaking. Kody's face pales, a rare sight. He mutters something under his breath, but no one can hear him. The judge narrows his eyes. Mrs. Brown, are you alleging fraud? Mary doesn't respond right away. Her gaze drifts toward the people who were once her family, the man she defended for years, the woman she tried to trust, the wives who stood by her even when she didn't deserve it. She raises her chin, her voice steady. Your Honor, I'm alleging that our whole family was built on a lie. A startled murmur settles over the room. The judge bangs his gavel to restore order. Then step forward, Mrs. Brown, he says, and tell this court exactly what that lie is. Mary takes one deep breath, the kind that feels like the last breath before a storm hits. Because she knows this will change everything, she steps closer, opens her mouth, and just as she begins to speak, the screen fades to black, a single heartbeat of silence. Then, the moment Mary attempts to speak, the atmosphere in the courtroom immediately thickens. It isn't just tension anymore. It's heavier, nearly physical. People aren't just watching, they're holding their breath. Even the air feels like it's waiting. Mary stands frozen for a moment, her fingers still curled around the page she never got to read out loud. The judge gives her a slow nod to continue. But before she can find her voice, her lawyer steps forward gently, almost protectively, and whispers something we cannot hear. She nods again. wiping at the corner of her eye in one swift motion, as if not wanting to be seen showing weakness. Kody leans suddenly forward, his voice cutting through the silence. "Your Honor, this entire thing is a—" "Mr. Brown," the judge cuts in sharply, "you will speak only when spoken to." Kody slams back in his chair, jaw flexing, eyes burning holes into Mary. But Mary doesn't look back, not this time. She's beyond that. She's in the place people go when they have nothing left to lose. Her attorney gives her room to breathe. "Take your time, Mary," he whispers. And it's strange. The entire courtroom can hear it because no one else is breathing. She finally puts the DNA report down, but she doesn't open it yet. Instead, she starts with something different. "It wasn't the documents that scared me at first," she says quietly. "It was the way things started, little, and then grew into something big enough to ruin everything." Christine leans forward slightly, hands clasped. Janelle is staring at the floor, her face pale but steady. Robin's hands shake in her lap, and her mascara's already running down her cheeks. "It started last spring," Mary continues. "I noticed money missing from one of the shared accounts. It was small amounts at first, little withdrawals at weird times. I thought maybe I just forgot something, or the bank made an error." She laughs softly, a broken, tired sound. "I thought the world was kind enough for things to be simple." Robin blinks hard, whispering, "Please don't," but she doesn't finish. She covers her mouth again. Mary's voice gets steadier as she remembers. "A month later, I found a letter in the mail, addressed to someone who didn't live in our house. It had our address, but a different name. At first, I thought it was a mistake. But when I asked Kody about it, he snapped." The prosecutor steps forward. "Snapped how, exactly?" Mary stares at the judge, almost asking for permission to speak the truth. He nods. "He grabbed the letter out of my hands and tore it up. Right there." Her voice trembles again. "He told me I had no right going through mail that wasn't mine, that I was paranoid, that I was ruining the family with my suspicion." Christine's back straightens. She remembers that day differently. Mary never told her Kody yelled. But she knew something bad happened because Mary didn't come to family dinner the next night. Mary swallows. "I tried to let it go, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. I couldn't stop wondering why that name was connected to us. And then, one night, I went looking." It's here that the tone changes in Mary's voice. Softer, almost haunted. "I didn't want to spy," she says. "I didn't want to go through drawers or boxes or old files. But something inside me told me I had to. Like a voice that wouldn't let me sleep. So I did. I looked." Her hands are trembling as she proceeds. "I found a folder hidden under old insurance papers. The folder wasn't labeled. It wasn't supposed to be found. And inside it, there were forms, birth records, signatures, medical paperwork, things that didn't match the dates we were told, things that didn't make sense." The prosecutor asks, "And these documents pointed towards DNA inconsistencies?" "Yes," Mary breathes. "But it was one document in particular, one that changed everything." She doesn't say what it is yet. Kody twists in his seat again, his eyes glowering at her, as if she's betraying some unsaid pact. But Mary doesn't falter, not this time. She continues with a small flashback. "Christine came over the night I found them. It was late, almost midnight. I was sitting on the floor with those papers all around me, and I just collapsed. I couldn't understand what I was reading. I didn't know what to believe. I didn't want to believe any of it." Christine nods slowly. She remembers scattered papers, shaking hands, the way Mary cried like her heart had cracked open. The courtroom falls silent. "At first," Mary says, "I thought maybe the dates were just mistakes. But the deeper I looked, the more I realize they weren't. They were intentional. They were altered. Suddenly, Robin buries her face in her palms and starts sobbing. Kody rubs his forehead, as if trying to wipe the moment away. The prosecutor asks gently, "What made you take the next step, the DNA test?" Mary looks up, meeting everyone's eyes, one after another. Because there were signatures that didn't match. Because timelines didn't fit. Because certain documents looked like they'd been filed years after they should have been. She hesitates, and because one page had been ripped, taped back together, and still didn't make sense. She takes a small breath. "I needed proof," she says. "Not suspicion. Not fear. Proof." She steps closer to the evidence table. "I ordered a DNA test in private. I didn't tell anyone. I didn't even tell Christine or Janelle. I didn't want to get anyone's hopes up or drag anyone into something without being sure. I just sent in the samples with shaking hands and prayed I was wrong." The courtroom seems to lean forward as if pulled by a string. And when the results came back, Mary whispers, "I thought my heart stopped." Robin utters a weak wail. Kody closes his eyes, his jaw clenched so tight it seems to ache. The prosecutor slowly approaches her. "Mrs. Brown, just for clarity, what did the DNA results say?" Mary doesn't immediately answer. Her gaze drifts over to Robin and then over to Kody as well. Her face softens, not in forgiveness, but in exhaustion, in grief. "They said," she starts, "that someone in our family wasn't biologically who we were told they were." A wave of gasps ripples across the room. Robin shakes her head violently. "No, no, no," she whispers. Kody reaches for her arm again, but she pulls back as if his touch burns. The prosecutor takes a breath. "And this inconsistency, does it involve one of wool?" But the judge raises a hand. "Let her speak in her own time." Mary closes her eyes for a moment, then opens them again, steadier. "When I saw the results, I drove to the courthouse that same day. I filed the evidence because I knew this wasn't just a family issue anymore. If documents were altered, if identities were misrepresented, if legal records were changed." She shakes her head. "This wasn't personal anymore. It was criminal." Robin breaks down crying. Kody covers his face with both hands, exhaling shakily. Christine reaches out and grabs onto Janelle's hand firmly. The judge leans forward. "Mrs. Brown, the court must know. Whose DNA was tested?" Silence. Thick, oppressive silence. Mary's eyes fill with tears, but she doesn't break. She opens her mouth, and then the courtroom door swings open. A bailiff rushes in, carrying a sealed envelope with a red stamp across the front. "Your Honor," he says breathlessly, "this just arrived from the state lab. It's marked urgent. It concerns the Brown case." The judge frowns. But no additional testing was ordered. The bailiff swallows. It was initiated by someone outside this courtroom. A shock spreads across everyone's face. The judge beckons to it. The bailiff hands the envelope over, and the judge slices it open. He scans the first page. His brows lift, then tighten, then lift again, as if he can't believe what he's reading. The entire courtroom waits, frozen. Finally, the judge looks up at Mary. "Mrs. Brown," he says slowly. "This new DNA document, does it relate to the person you tested?" Mary blinks. I don't know. Who sent it?" The judge looks at the envelope again. It was submitted anonymously. A chill sweeps through the room. Christine gasps softly. Janelle's eyes widen. Robin covers her mouth. Kody whispers, "No, no, Not now. The judge clears his throat. And according to this, the DNA you submitted isn't the only test connected with this case. Mary's knees almost buckle. Your Honor, she whispers. But he lifts a hand. This new report, he says, his voice grave, indicates a second person whose DNA contradicts the registered family records. The crowd erupts. Christine stands, speechless. Janelle clutches the bench. Robin sobs harder. Kody lowers his head into his hands. And Mary looks like the ground just vanished beneath her feet. The judge lifts the envelope again. Mrs. Brown, he says softly, you are not the only person who discovered a lie. Again, the camera flashes go off. Voila, the biggest truth hasn't even been revealed yet. It's heavier today. The courtroom feels different, as if even the walls know what's coming. The audience benches are filled to full capacity, each whisper echoing. Reporters, with pens that already show the slightest of trembles, lean forward to get the moment the truth finally snaps free from years of silence. At the front, the judge adjusts his glasses, eyes steady, but inquisitive. Even he can feel it. Today is not routine. Today is revelation. Mary sits in the witness stand, with her posture straight, but her hands are tightly clasped together. She looks stronger than she did in the early hearings. But beneath that strength is a storm she's barely controlling. Her eyes flick briefly toward Kody, just for a second. In that instant, he looks away. Robin gives his arm a squeeze. She whispers something sharp enough to sting, but soft enough he alone hears it. The judge nods. Proceed with the cross-examination. And suddenly, the whole room holds its breath. Robin's attorney rises like he owns the floor. Smooth suit, confident walk, that rehearsed smirk that says he thinks he's already won. He adjusts his papers, glances at the judge, then turns to Mary. Ms. Brown, he begins with a tone dipped in false politeness. You've implied that certain financial decisions were made without your knowledge. Mary nods calmly. I didn't imply it. I stated it. The attorney's mouth twitches, but he continues. But surely you understand that in a plural marriage, especially one as unconventional as yours, records can be complicated. Misunderstandings happen. Mary's eyes narrow. Misunderstandings don't move money. People do. A faint gasp ripples through the courtroom. Robin squirmed in her seat, clenching her jaw. The attorney circles the room like a shark, smelling blood. So what you're really saying is that you believe Robin, my client, purposely hid funds from the family. Is that your claim? Mary doesn't blink. It's not what I believe. It's what happened. The attorney turns dramatically to the judge. Your Honor, I would like to remind the court that Miss Brown has no formal financial training. But before he can continue, Mary cuts in. And Robin does, because she seemed perfectly trained when she signed documents behind my back. The courtroom erupts, not loudly, but with sharp whispers, shocked faces, a journalist already scribbling Mary strikes back in her notepad. The judge bangs his gavel. Order. The attorney takes a deep breath. His confidence cracks just a little. Let's shift, Ms. Brown, he says with a softer tone. You mentioned emotional manipulation within the family earlier. Would you care to explain what you meant by it? Mary raises her chin. Gladly. Robin's hand freezes mid-lap. Kody stiffens. Mary takes a slow breath. This is the moment. This is the wound she has kept stitched shut for years. I meant, she starts, voice steady but heavy, that every time I asked questions about money, decisions, changes, I was told I was overreacting, that I was the problem, that I needed to trust the family. But what they really meant was, stay quiet, Mary. Don't interrupt the plan. Robin's attorney folds his arms. A plan devised by who? Mary immediately turns her head directly to Robin. A plan designed by them. She points, not dramatically, but with purpose, at Robin and Kody. Robin's lips part, her face reddening. Kody leans forward, whispering, "Don't react. Don't react." But Robin already is reacting, her eyes burning holes through Mary. The courtroom is electricity. "So to be clear," he says, pacing, "your claim is that my client orchestrated financial decisions behind closed doors. Because what? She wanted control." The question is gauged to throw Mary off balance. It doesn't. "Yes," Mary replies matter-of-factly. "Control is what she wanted." "And you have proof?" Mary does not bat an eyelid. "Yes." Robin's attorney laughs. Not really, but in that patronizing way professionals do when they are afraid the truth is slipping through their fingers. "Proof?" he repeats. "Ms. Brown, you've provided statements, anecdotes, impressions, but nothing factual, nothing hard, nothing that would hold up under scrutiny." Mary looks him dead in the eye. "I brought the documents today." The room freezes. Even the judge's eyebrows rise. Robin's attorney blinks. You what?" Mary reaches into the folder beside her. Slow, deliberate, powerful. She pulls out a set of papers, sections highlighted, signatures, dates. "These are the bank transfers," she says, "made from the family account to an account under Robin's name. Transfers that were never discussed, never approved, and never shown to the rest of us." The attorney pales. Mary continues, her voice calm but sharp enough to cut glass. "And here," she raises another document, "is the real estate agreement, the one in which Robin named herself as the primary decision-maker for the Coyote Pass property, without saying a word to any of the other wives." Robin shakes her head violently. "She's lying. That's not what happened." The judge raises his hand. "Mrs. Brown, you will remain silent unless addressed." Robin sinks back, fuming. The attorney swallows hard. "Ms. Brown," he says, pacing more swiftly now, "isn't it true that you and my client have had personal disagreements, long-standing issues, emotional tensions? And people do." "Yes," Mary says candidly. "We did. And isn't it possible that your interpretation of these documents is influenced by bias?" "No," Mary says, "because facts don't care about bias. Numbers don't care about feelings. And signatures don't lie." She taps the papers. "But people do." This time, the gasp is loud. Kody's face, those pale. Robin looks like she's about to burst into tears or rage. The attorney attempts to say something, but the judge intervenes. "Ms. Brown," he says, leaning forward, "are you claiming these documents were intentionally hidden from you?" Mary looks up at him. "Yes, Your Honor, for years. And you're willing to swear to that under oath?" Mary places her hand on the Bible beside her. "I already have." The judge nods slowly, taking in the weight of that truth. This wasn't supposed to happen. This wasn't in his script. He suddenly leans forward, unable to control himself. "Mary," he explodes, "you're twisting everything. You don't understand how complicated things were." But the judge bangs his gavel. "Mr. Brown, you will remain silent." Kody slumps back, infuriated, ashamed, caught. Mary watches him, her expression not angry, but sad, like someone who has nothing left to lose. "You always said, trust the process, trust the family," she says softly. But everyone hears her. But all this time, the process was a lie. Robin stands suddenly, pointing at Mary with shaking hands. "You're doing this because you hate me. Because you were jealous. Because you were never happy unless you were the only one with Kody. Sit down, the judge orders. But Robin doesn't stop. You're trying to destroy us. You're twisting everything. You don't even know what you're talking about. The attorney finally takes her arm and pushes her back into her seat. It was chaos in the court. The judge looks tired. And Mary, she looks free. For the first time in years, he bangs the gavel again. This court is in recess for 20 minutes. People stand. Chatter explodes. Reporters rush out to call their newsrooms. The air is electric with shock, with revelation, with the sense that everything has just shifted. But Mary, she just sits there, saying nothing, breathing. For the first time, she's not the one who looks afraid. She's the one who looks ready, ready for whatever comes next, ready to speak the truth, ready to finish the fight. When the recess ends, the courtroom feels like a ticking bomb. People shuffle back into their seats with the breathlessness of an audience returning to the second half of a theater play. Except this isn't a script. This is real. This is raw. This is the moment when years of tension, betrayal, and whispered accusations finally rise to the surface. The judge, robes flying behind him, re-enters, looking even graver than before. Even he knows something irreversible is about to happen. Kody reappears with the stiff walk of a man who has been arguing in the hallway. His jaw is tight, his lips pressed thin. Robin is clinging to his arm, her mascara smudged, though by tears or rage it's impossible to tell. Mary sits alone. No whispers, no attorney whispering strategy, no comforting hand on her shoulder. Just her notes, and the truth. The bailiff signals all to rise. Then sit. Then silence. The judge looks around the room, then at Mary, then at the stack of documents that changed everything. Let us proceed. When court resumes, something is different. Mary is no longer on defense. Kody and Robin, they're not just being questioned, they're under a microscope, and everyone can feel it. The judge turns to Robin's attorney. You may continue with your witness. But the attorney looks shaken. His hands quiver ever so slightly as he shuffles his papers. The confidence he had earlier is gone, replaced by the nervousness of a man who knows the narrative has slipped away from him. He clears his throat. Your Honor, he says slowly, with this documentation present, we would like to request an opportunity to review before we proceed with further cross-examination. The judge raises an eyebrow. You've had 20 minutes. Yes, Your Honor, but nothing. The judge cuts sharply. You may proceed. A wave of whispers goes around the room. Robin's lawyer pauses, then grudgingly moves forward with the weight of someone stepping into a trap he cannot avoid. He turns to Mary. Ms. Brown, he says in a low tone, I want to go back to the day these financial decisions took place. You testified that you were unaware of the transfers and real estate agreements. But can you tell the court? Where were you emotionally at the time? Were you vulnerable? It sounds harmless, but it isn't. It's a trap, a setup, polite wording masking a dagger, because he's trying to paint her as unstable, emotional, unreliable. Mary leans back in the witness chair, her eyes steady. I was vulnerable, she says outright, but not because of emotions, because of them. She motions to Kody and Robin. Kody stiffens. Robin's lips part, scandalized. Mary doesn't look away and continues. I was vulnerable because I trusted people who did not deserve it. The courtroom falls silent. The attorney swallows. And by people, you mean Kody and Robin. She says their names gently, almost sadly, as if she's mourning the roles they once played in her life. Something in Kody snaps. He slams his palm on the table. "This is ridiculous," he bursts out. The judge freezes mid-sentence. "Mr. Brown." But Kody is standing already, voice rising, cracking like a storm. "You're acting like you were innocent, Mary. You're acting like you were some victim. You were distant. You were cold. You were checked out of the family long before any of this happened." The courtroom gasps. Robin tugs at him. "Kody, stop." But he doesn't. "She makes it sound like we plotted against her," he rants, "like we sat in some dark room making plans." Mary stays still, doesn't blink. She watches him unravel. It spirals him further when he sees her calm expression. "Say something," he yells at her, but she keeps silent, and for the first time, that silence scares him. The gavel slams down, held by the judge. "Mr. Brown, sit down immediately, or I will remove you from this courtroom." Kody's chest heaves. His face is red, he sputters, half in rage, half in embarrassment, but he sits, hard, like a child forced back into his chair. The audience whispers explode again. When the room finally settles, Mary slowly leans into the microphone. "Thank you, Your Honor." The calmness of her voice cuts deeper than any shout. "I don't need to raise my voice," she says softly, "because the truth doesn't need to scream." She looks directly at Kody. "I wasn't distant because I didn't care. I was distant because every time I tried to be included, I was pushed out." Then she turns to Robin. "And every time I asked a question, you played the victim. I wasn't allowed to challenge you. I wasn't allowed to disagree. I wasn't allowed to even speak without being told I was negative." Robin looks shocked. Mary continues. "You two created a world where you made decisions together and called it family. You moved money and called it responsibility. You excluded us, calling it unity." She pauses. "And the saddest part is, I believed you." The entire courtroom is frozen. Even the judge is leaning forward. The lawyer, obviously desperate, tries one last angle. "Miss Brown, are you saying that my client, Mrs. Brown, intentionally isolated you?" Mary lifts her chin. "Yes." "And you believe she did this to secure control of family assets?" "Yes." "And you believe she manipulated your husband?" Mary turns to Robin. "I don't believe she manipulated him." Robin looks relieved for half a second. Then Mary finishes. "I believe they manipulated each other. It's like the oxygen gets sucked out of the room." Robin covers her mouth. Kody's eyes widen. The attorney is dumbfounded. The judge clears his throat. "Ms. Brown," he says, voice steady but firm, "these allegations are serious. You've provided documents showing misconduct. You've testified to coordinated exclusion. And you've given the court reason to believe financial manipulation occurred." He leans forward. "So I ask you, what do you want this court to do?" It is the first time he's asked her directly. The room holds its breath. Mary sits very still. Then, slowly, she lifts her eyes. "I want the truth visible," she says. "No more secrets. No more hidden accounts. No more whispered conversations that change our lives while pretending they were made for the family." She inhales deeply. "I want accountability." The judge nods slowly. "And justice?" "Justice," Mary says quietly, "is finally being heard." And then it happens. The exact breaking point. Robin leaps to her feet, quivering with anger. "This is unfair," she cries. "She's twisting everything. She's making me the villain. I tried to help. I tried to keep the family together. If anyone ruined this family, it was her." The judge pounds the gavel. "Mrs. Brown, sit down." But she can't. She unravels too quickly. "You don't understand," she sobs. "You don't know what she's like behind closed doors. She didn't want to be part of the family. She didn't want us to have peace. She didn't—" "Robin," Kody snaps sharply. But she is hysterical now, with feelings flowing like a bursting dam. "She's making me look evil." "No one is doing that to you," Mary says quietly. "You did that to yourself." Robin freezes. Absolute silence. Even Kody looks shocked by the bluntness. The judge knows the room is out of control. He repeatedly bangs the gavel. That is enough. This session is adjourned until tomorrow morning. The courtroom erupts into chaos. Reporters race out. Cameras flash. Whispers rise. Kody stands up slowly, looking shaken, confused, and bereft of the control he once had. Robin wipes her tears away, aggressively as rage emanates from her. But Mary? Mary sits still for a few moments, breathing, grounded, strong. For the first time in a very long time, she looks like someone who knows that she's not just surviving anymore. She's winning.